It's the contrasts that caught my eye in today's Russian papers. For example, Izvestia reports that in the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin gave awards to the designers of the Burevestnik cruise missile and the Poseidon underwater drone. There are plans for serial production soon of Oreshnik hypersonic missiles and for deploying Sarmat ICBMs. At the same time, Russia's head of state stressed that Russia isn't threatening anyone. Isn't it? The Soyuznoye Vechye supplement in Komsomolskoye Pravda points out that one Poseidon drone would be enough to make, for example, Britain a thing of the past. One Poseidon would be enough to send that cocky little island to the bottom of the sea. Or perhaps that isn't a threat. Perhaps that's just a friendly warning. From Britain to Italy, and more contrasts. For one Italian, it's all smiles from the Kremlin. Eliseo Bertolassi received the Order of Friendship Award from President Putin. As Kommersant reports, Mr. Bertolassi was introduced as an independent journalist from the Foreign Press Association in Italy and chairman of the Italian section of the international Russophile movement. This got the reporter wondering, so is he independent or is he a Russophile? Or perhaps there are independent Russophiles. After the Italian lavished praise on President Putin with compliments like, "I am full of admiration for what you are doing with all my heart and my soul," it became clear to the Kommersant journalist he's a Russophile. The contrast comes when you read the government paper Rossiyska Gazeta, which reports on the partial collapse of a medieval tower in Rome, in which a worker from Romania was injured and later died. No sign of Russian smiles for Italy here. The paper tries to link what happened to the Italian government's support for Ukraine with this extraordinary paragraph. The incident with the Torre dei Conti is as much an indicator of decline as the audacious Louvre robbery. European governments are devoting all their attention to supporting Kiev and inflicting a strategic defeat on Russia, and ordinary Europeans are wondering what will fall apart next. What will their electricity bills be? What will the price tags be in stores? Perhaps that's not so extraordinary when you consider that the official spokesperson of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, said this: "As long as the Italian government senselessly spends taxpayers' money, everything in Italy will collapse, from the economy to the towers." This sparked a furious response from Rome. Moving on to China, and more contrasts. As Nezavisime Gazeta reports, the Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin went visiting and had talks. The two sides promised to continue boosting bilateral trade, attracting investment and developing transport corridors. However, the paper also points out the total volume of mutual trade continues to decline. By the end of 2024, the trade turnover between the two countries had increased by only 1.9%, reaching $244.8 billion. After the first 3 quarters of this year, the indicator had decreased by 9.4% in annual terms, amounting to $163.6 billion. According to the General Customs Administration of China, in the first 9 months, imports of Russian oil to China decreased by 21%. to $37.55 billion. And staying with the economy, according to Izvestia, Russian companies have allotted more than 36% of their earnings to servicing debt. At the end of September, a record high, according to a survey by the Centre for Macroeconomic Analysis and Short-Term Forecasting. Analysts are warning that this situation increases the risks of bankruptcies and defaults, accelerates inflation and slows down the economy. Despite a reduction in the key interest rate, business debt expenses continue to grow in the third quarter. The debt burden on companies is high. They often have to borrow to repay old debts, which in turn reduces profits. The situation is particularly difficult in the construction and automobile industries. Another factor in the growing pressure from debt is falling profits. The drop in profits is due to lower consumer demand amid high interest rates, rising costs due to staff shortages, increased interest costs, higher import costs for equipment and raw materials due to sanctions and logistics, as well as higher taxes. As you can see, Russian newspapers do report on the country's economic and financial problems and talk about sanctions. What you don't see in the papers here is the authorities' decision to invade Ukraine being listed as the cause of economic difficulties.